What do you think is the most not so great part of the experience while you're job hunting?
The job hunting. It's not great.
This is a series that we're doing with our brilliant talents that are deployed with global companies. So these talents themselves are going to describe what the journey is like.
It's rejection every corner of the way, every step of the way. You apply for hundreds of jobs, you don't even hear back with an unfortunately email from most of them. You just need to keep adapting, keep applying, and sooner or later you're gonna get a job.
Hello, everyone. I'm Anvesha, host of Vistuku. This is a series that we're doing with our brilliant talents that are deployed with global companies. The objective of doing this is telling the backstories or the stories of inspiring talents who have made it into the global companies and are working as a global workforce. बाकी टैलेंट्स हैं जिनको ऐसा होता है कि हम भी ऐसे ग्लोबल कंपनी से भी काम करें कैसे करें. So these talents themselves are going to describe what the journey is like, talk a little bit about themselves, and even share a little anecdote and insight about their own journeys. Today, our guest is Sarthak Malhotra. Hi, Sarthak. I would like to welcome
Uh,
you to the session. I would like you to introduce yourself a bit. And as the name goes, Gift to Go Conversation, we will start our little bit of conversation about your journey.
Sure. So, as you already know, my name is Sarthak Malhotra. I am based in New Delhi. I completed my graduation from University of Delhi in Bachelor's of Computer Science. After that, I went to Canada to study a bit further in the web development field. Came back about 3 to 4 months ago, and that's when I found Upwork, applied up to a bunch of positions, and then got a job at CrowdSource.
So, Sarthak, what do you do in your spare time? What are your hobbies like?
My hobbies include watching anime, playing video games, reading books, going to festivals with my friends, like that.
Very indoorsy, I must say.
Yeah, yeah, guilty.
So, is that the reason you took up remote work?
I mean, yes, there was also the factor that I didn't want to commute 3 to 4 hours every day each way by going to a job in Gurgaon or Noida. So I thought, yeah, that doesn't really agree with me much, so I'll go for the remote option.
Yeah, yeah. I feel remote work is a blessing that way. A lot of
It
people
really is.
feel a comfort working from home, and you get to do it from a space where you do not have to travel too much. So yeah,
That's right.
that way remote work is a pro and a plus for everybody. So where are you working currently?
Oh, I'm working from New Delhi, but I'm working for there's this client from for a players from UK, which is called Crowdsource. I just started working with them about 3 months ago now, and yeah, as I said previously, they're in the music event hosting industry. So we make web experiences for the event hosters, basically. Yeah.
So what was your preparation like? What is something you did differently that helped you get a job with crowdsource?
I'd say the thing that was different with getting the job from Crowdsource was not per se what I did, but what Uplers did. This is not to just uh, butter you up, but the thing that Uplers did differently was the AI screening. So whereas all the other platforms like Indeed, LinkedIn, all they had was just an apply button, which me alongside of other 1,000 interviews also just clicked and then forgot about. I actually had the opportunity to present my information, my knowledge, uh, in a way that you guys gave the clients to with a score. So that was just a hurdle that the initial interview I got just by applying on the site. And other than that, I'd say making your resume as per the ATS system requirements and then having a portfolio, especially in my field of work, definitely very important.
What do you think is the major difference between these two different work cultures, the Indian work culture and the global work culture?
Well, to be honest, I don't really have much experience working in the Indian workforce because I've only ever had two like proper formal jobs. Both of them were for a foreign-based client. One of them was in Newton, Massachusetts, and then the other one, Crowdsource, is from UK. But the experience that I have heard from with my friends It is not good. The working hours are way too long. The bosses are not really leadership like. But yeah, it is much better working for a foreign based client most of the time.
Okay. So for global based company, what are the top things that come to your mind that, for working for a global company, these are the things I've learned, or these are the good experiences, or these are the things that I've seen as I've been working for some time?
Okay, the first one would be they're very informal. Like most of the experiences that I had working with managers that are not from India, they're very informal. They like to chat around. They like to mess around. They like to have fun. They don't seem very boss-like. They don't want you to call them, address them as boss or anything like that, other than in the informal sense, which I often did with them. And then they are very understanding. So if you were to say, I've got an exam, I've got a bunch of exams lined up, can I take a day or two off? So what my previous boss did was he told me that, you know what, you've been working so hard, you've been delivering on all your tickets. Why don't you go ahead and take the entire week off? So that is not something that I've heard from my friends for as for their boss doing it for them. So yeah, that's what my experience has been with
So
not
there's a lot
only
of
in
empathy
the
and there is a lot of care for the employee that's there.
that's right. That's right. That's right.
Okay. Anything else that you would like to talk about?
Sometimes most of them that I have worked with like to take interest in you other than the work stuff as well. So the boss that I had while I was in Canada, it was not in the ID field, in the development field, software development, but nonetheless they were very good. I had two bosses, both of them I am still to this day friends with. And while I was in Canada, I often used to go to bars with them to play pool, to just have a drink or just chat around. Yeah, so they're very informal, very friendly.
So they're very inclusive. They
They
like
are.
you to be there. They like you to, they like to know you beyond your job role.
Exactly. That's exactly how I would put it. Yeah.
That's a good experience. I feel that's not something which is organized. It is something which comes to them very naturally.
Yeah. That wouldn't have been possible if it was some sort of a policy or something. So that just comes from within. Like a policy can't dictate you to be nice to somebody. You just have to be that kind of a person.
I think the employees also care a little better if you get that kind of environment.
They do. Personally speaking, they do.
So, what does your day to day look like?
Day to day would be so in this organization, there aren't a lot of developers. So we only have about 10 to 15 employees in the whole organization. So we have a few designers and then just two developers, me and my direct reporting manager. So it's very informal as to what a normal software engineering role looks like. So I just get a few tickets from the previous clients, and if they have any modifications that they would like to make to the projects, I handle those. And then if we have any major upcoming project, if the design for that project is finished, I get to work right on that. And then day to day would look like completing the designs, making sure that everything is as per the requirements, and then I give it to the reporting managers for feedback, and they let me know what changes there needs to be made, if any.
So, you work with a UK company. So, do you work on UK time?
No, they are very flexible with timings. Like actually, in fact, I am on the clock right now, but since their timing is so flexible, all they care about is their work getting done. And then I can take off time from here and then add it in at the later half of the day. And they're okay with that.
That's wonderful to hear that, they are not micromanaging somebody and
No, not
they
at all.
have
Not at all.
faith. They have faith in what the employee is doing. That's so nice to hear. So, what does your company do primarily? What is their work like?
Primarily, they are, I would say, marketing advisors. So they help these event organizers, which make music festivals happen, such as the closest example that I would find in the Indian ecosystem would be like Sunburn. You know that music festival that happens in Goa every year. Imagine that, but based in UK, Netherlands, Spain, basically the entire western half of Europe. So all the organizers and the organizations that make those events happen, our company provides marketing assistance to them. And the primary marketing assistance that we provide is a website, web experiences, websites, contact forms, surveys, all.
Okay, okay. So, for your current job role as a front end developer, is there some kind of upskilling or certain things you have to learn because it's a niche work. It's not something which is very generic. They are into events and it's a lot of real time thing. So, did
That's right.
you learn something specifically to be relevant to this job, or it's just something you pick on the job?
Well, I don't know if there are any like many tangibles that I can point to, but the one thing that I had to improve upon pretty much right from the get-go was animations and stuff. So the web design of the normal websites is pretty simple. Anybody who has even a year of experience can do it pretty much like to the 90th percentile performance-wise and then design-wise. But uh, being from the creative, fun industry that our clients work with, we had to have fun designs, we had to have fun animations, interactions, and all of that. So that is the part that I wasn't focusing on too much before getting this job. But as soon as I got into this role, I came to find out that that is going to be pretty much a necessity going forward. So that's what I've been putting most of my learning hours in ever since.
I see. Um, so, what is your opinion about AI, which is used in hiring? What do you think of AI?
AI as used in hiring, I was pretty skeptical about because all the implementation I had seen from all the other hiring companies was pretty bleak. Like having an AI with pretty much just bog standard answers to questions that they're gonna ask. Do the first round of interview for you seem really dystopian in the videos and in the reviews that I saw of them on YouTube. But then I don't know, something was really different about Upplers and how they did it because it didn't feel like AI was taking my interview. It was just like AI was sort of the helping hand. Like it wasn't the entire story. It was just gonna give my profile a score, which the human on the other side can take an action on. It's not like AI was making the entire judgment by itself. So that was really important for me. And as I said, giving a score and then having some knowledge based on the capabilities of the interviewee, that I would imagine is really useful rather than just seeing a bunch of numbers on the resume. Because a lot of people do just stuff out the resume just to make it seem a bit more appealing. And yeah, I guess hiring managers picked up on that.
I have seen, I've heard a lot of people say similar things that, it feels weird that a machine is judging me without even knowing me. And it's quite difficult to wrap my head around that. And that I feel that's why people tend to either skip on it or with their bias steer away from it. Um, so
I was definitely in that camp because having a video interview as the first step rather than before even hitting the apply button was a nice not a nice at first but nice in the end change of pace for me because as we all know hitting us an apply button on Indeed or Glassdoor is a lot more simpler and easier to do than having a video camera on pointing directly at you in asking questions, and a lot of people have in my field difficulty in communicating properly. So we can write code all you want, we can do all the tests that you throw at us, but communication is something that really a lot of people struggle with. So yeah, I can see how that ends up being a hurdle that they have to cross. But in this job market, you have to do anything and everything to differentiate yourself from all
I
the other
see.
people.
I see. So, how did you find Upplers? What led you to Upplers?
Ironically, I was on Glassdoor and I was just going through all the job listings, and then I saw that Upwork had a job listing over there as well. So I was like, okay, that's I applied for that, and then it led me to the Upwork platform. There, I found out about Upwork.
Okay. So, how has your overall experience been like? Because when you are interacting with a platform, you have mixed kind of experiences. Like you were checking out Glassdoor. So, anybody who is looking to apply for jobs, their first go to is let's check out reviews. So, what was your approach like when you were actually looking for? So, were you looking for jobs while you were in Canada, or when you came back? That's when you started your search. What was it like?
Actually, I was done with my college, and then I had about a 2 or 3 week window where I had to stay in Canada before I could come back. So I just felt we were just sitting by idly and learning and stuff. You do need a break from sometimes. So I just thought, why not start applying? So I started applying for jobs, and then that's when I found Upners. I did start applying for jobs while I was in Canada, but then due to some technical issues or there was some policy issue as well with Uplers, whereas I had to be in India for some reason to apply for a job, while even though they were there, they knew that their position is remote and I was going to be in India. I had to wait till then, and that's how I missed out on an opportunity with another client of Uplers. Otherwise, I would have had a job the day I came back from Canada. Yeah. After that, I had to wait a few weeks to get another opening that was to my liking, to my the tech stack that I know and all of that. But
Okay.
yeah, pretty
Yeah, so
straightforward.
we do have a policy because we are a platform for Indian talents and who are based out of India, because we are giving you remote opportunities. It's the origin,
Yeah, totally
more than
understandable.
the origin, it's the physical location of the talent. It's truly there.
Right.
Um, so, what do you think? Since you've worked with majority Western professionals, so what do you think these professionals think about Indians when working with offshore talent in their teams? Is there a perception? Have you encountered a perception of any sort? How are they interacting with you? Is there a way of dealing with things? Is there a perception, or there are a lot of so, for example, there is a common notion about Indians that we are good with tech and math. So that's the stereotype that is there. And in non-tech roles, you usually try, okay, let's do something else. Let's not talk about a talent from India for the creative needs or something like that. So, have you ever encountered something of that sort in your
N-
company?
Never. As far as I can remember, I don't think I've ever had that issue. I've never been discriminated against. I've never been had any prejudice against me, and I've never had any stereotypes associated to me. Like the way my coworkers and my bosses all used to interact with me was the same as they would from the colleagues that they have from their own countries. And this is not just about white people. I've had people from the Middle East. I've had people from Eastern Europe, Western Europe, Canada, America. All of them. They're all pretty much just great human beings. At least the one that I have worked with.
No, I get your drift. So, what I was meaning is not biased towards color, but what I meant was, is there enough respect for Indian talent on a global
I
platform?
know. I totally understood what you meant, and that's what I was getting to. There is just being Indian or being not Indian or whatever color that you wish that you are or whatever language you speak. It is just not a factor at all. In a professional setting, it's not a factor. And even though, as I told you, I used to hang out with my friends outside of work, uh, hang out with my colleagues outside of work. They are friends as well. uh, Even when the topic was to involve my ethnicity or my languages, communication skills, all of that, it was never in a derogatory way. It was just in a different way, and they wanted to learn, like, hey, how do you say this? What is this? Uh, can you bring me something from some food from your country, stuff like that. Just inquisitory tone, not derogatory tone.
Yeah, true, true, true. So I feel there are a lot of similar experiences because uh, the inclusivity which I was talking about previously, people like to know their team members. People like to know where you're from. And surprisingly, now, previously it was India was regarded differently. Now people know there are, even within the culture there are subcultures, which is a very
Yeah,
welcoming, thanks to the globalization through internet. They are much more aware that a Marathi person is quite different than a Haryanvi, and so they know the cultures within the culture. So
yeah,
that's
yeah,
surprising, and they ask you, okay, oh, do you have this holiday? Do you celebrate this? So that's really something nice, that they want to know more, and they are much more welcoming about that.
yeah.
So, since you are a front end developer, and as tech we know is evolving very fast, every day there is something or the other. Did you have to adapt a skill set to stay relevant in this fast paced environment? Were you doing something actively?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the tech stack that I work with is in the JavaScript side of things. So front end, you don't really have the option to go from going for different languages as you do in the back end side of things. But the thing about the JavaScript ecosystem is it changes on a whim, like on a barely weekly basis. Like this week we have this technology that we're working with. Next week there's going to be something else, something better, something different, something about going back to the way we used to do things. So you constantly have to be learning, and that is not a bad thing. That is, you constantly keep things interesting for yourself. You learn Next.js today, you learn Remix tomorrow, you learn Tailwind today. Next thing you know, they're working with Uno CSS or something like that. Yeah, so doing all of that is, yeah, it's great. It's great. And then, matter of fact, even on the job, the role that I was, sorry, not the role, the tech stack that I was hired to work with, it changed midway. So I was hired to work with Next.js and React, but then the CTO felt that our clients would be better serviced with a combination of Svelte, another framework that we use to develop websites, which is quite different from the tech stack that I used to work with. But as long as your fundamentals are strong, you're great. It took me about 3 to 4 days to get familiar with on the proficiency that I had with React. And in the as the end product, the client loved the website. The fluidity was way better. Performance was great.
I think somewhere being open to new experiences and new working styles is also very important, because when you have that openness, you accept challenges and it gives you much more than sticking to one particular thing. I think that stagnancy at times curbs growth, in my
It
opinion.
does. Yeah, 100%. That's a correct opinion. Like stagnancy in any way, shape, or form, like relationships, your friendships, your work ethic, your work knowledge, even the games that you play. Stagnancy is never good. You need to keep evolving. You need to try better things, try different things. And yeah, that shapes you as a person.
Speaking like a true gamer. So, have you modified your resume to get a job or stand out for a global company?
I wouldn't say necessarily because, as I said previously, all the experiences that I've had was working with a foreign entity. So I've just been using the resume that I was first applying with back in 2021, and then from there on out, I was just making a few changes here and there to update the resume as per the latest happenings in my experience in my field, experience wise, and then knowledge wise. But no, I don't think I've specifically re-aligned my resume for the international market. I just like
I
to
see,
present the
I see.
best version
So,
of
you've not
myself.
modified it or made it something which would, click with the global clients separately of that sort. Nothing of that sort you've done.
I don't think so. I don't think so. But then
Okay.
my starting
Um,
point was quite different from what my colleagues here who have worked here in India have done. So as we all know, experience is the key. In experience and credentials are the key factors in the Indian market, or they might be as far as what I've heard. But the international market, they care about is your skills, and if you have it, portfolio. So the highlighting factors of my resume were the first thing in there was my skills, the frameworks that I've worked with, the languages that I know, and then the second one was my portfolio, the projects that I've worked with, and all of that. Right at the end, I have my credentials, which college I went to, which degree do I have, all of that. That is at the very end, and they barely have a line to them. And whereas the skill set and the project, they all have 3 points, two to three paragraphs between each of them.
so you've put your experience quite extensively and a little you know compressed it a bit so that it's
I think
concise
so.
and easy to go through.
Yeah.
Okay. So what is the most challenging thing working in a tech industry, in your opinion? What do you think is the most something which is crucial to understand
Mhm.
and get go with it, and it is very much essential for you to survive in the industry? So something which you feel is a trend, one, and something which you should adapt, like a person who is looking to work with global clients should adapt so that they can do better. So what do you think is the most important thing
I'd
working
say
in a fast industry?
I say the first thing is going to be your hard skills. You need to have the fundamentals completely cleared. You can't just clear a boot camp for 3 months about HTML, CSS, and then a little bit of JavaScript, and then expect to land a six-figure job. You need to have your fundamentals cleared. You need to have all the basics completely down. And then you need to work on your frameworks. You need to work on your infrastructure knowledge. You need to be completely up to date on all the things that are happening in the web development world. I'd say create a Twitter account if you don't already have one, because that is a great place where all the influencers, all the web creators in this field, they hang out on. The information that you can get from the conversations that they have with their community and amongst themselves, those are really great and worth their weight in gold. And the second thing I would say is you need to go and be engaged in the ecosystem. You need to be subscribed to the Primogen. You need to listen to Theo. You need to watch uh, the ecosystem stuff, like the things that are happening in the field, not just the technical stuff, but how people interact, what they're looking for. Because those people that worked in Netflix, that worked at Twitch, so they know what they're looking for because they've been there. They've done the hiring. They have been interviewed over there, and they've done the interviewing. So yeah, it's all great. And then the third and most important thing after those would be to have a great grasp on your communication skills, because it doesn't matter. You can have all the information in the world, because if you can't explain to them what you know in a manner that they expect, you all of that doesn't matter. Because I do have a friend with me who's looking for a job here, and the only thing, as far as I can tell, that's holding him back is his communication skills, because he just does all the interviews, he clears all the questions that they're giving him, and thing he falls flat on is when it comes to have that face-to-face interview with the CEO or any other high-ranking official, and then that's where he fails to impress. Because companies nowadays are looking more and more for the culture fit as well. They don't want just another AI assistant type level junior engineer. They want a person. They want someone that they can interact with, someone that enhances the company culture, the company values, is fun to be around. So yeah, you need to have all of those rounded off, and then you should be good to go. And then it's just a matter of apply.
So, what is the challenge basically of staying relevant in a tech industry? What is the primary challenge of staying relevant?
Keeping up to date, being up
So,
to date.
as you said, if you join forums, if you read blogs, if you subscribe to newsletters, if you are going through what is happening in the market, that's generic knowledge. But in the tech space, it does knowledge for business or knowledge of the business or what is happening in the market enough to let you stay relevant?
I don't know. There might be a miscommunication between the two of us, because being in the know about the business side of things wasn't really the goal of what I was trying to say. All I meant was being subscribed to the newsletter was keeping up to date with what's happening in the tech side of things. So, of course, being aware of the business side of things is very, very helpful, very, very knowledgeable, because sometimes you're going to go for a library or a framework,
Oh, I
but
mean,
then it
I
turns
see.
out,
You mean that
yeah,
whatever is happening in the tech space, what technology is making more sense, or what people are more
yeah.
using to build their products. If you are aware of that, you can use it to upskill yourself.
Exactly, because most of the time it's not about what's the best for the job, because it's almost like a popularity contest in the JavaScript world. You need to be in the know about what's gonna sell the best on your resume, and what that is what people are talking about. And how are you going to know what people are talking about? By being in the know, being in the ecosystem, going to Twitter, going to YouTube, being in that sphere. That's how you know, and that's how you can use that to your advantage.
So you constantly have to keep your resume updated.
Constantly.
Tweak it. Tweak it. Okay. Tell me something. What is your advice to people who are trying to clear the Upler's AI assessment, and how can it contribute to their journey working with the global companies?
Okay, I'd say most of you who are doing the Upler's AI screening, you already do have the knowledge that you need to get to that point. Otherwise, you wouldn't even dare hit the AI screening button. So just be confident, be calm. You already know what you need to talk about. You don't need to rush through anything. They give you plenty time to go through all the questions. And if you are fumbling through a question, just admit it. Let them know, oh yeah, this topic, I'm not really sure I'm great to be speaking about this right now, but I have worked with it in the past, and the problem that I faced with that, blah blah blah. You go on from there. You don't just fumble around, try to make sense of yeah what the question is, or just say blankly. You talk about something. You talk about anything in the periphery of that question. Yeah, that's what I've seen working for me.
So I
Yeah,
think somewhere like a real time interview that you do. You do not bluff around at that point of
exactly.
time. If you do not know something, accept it and say that, this was the challenge that I faced, and this is what I'm trying to do to remediate or trying to learn it better.
Yeah. Or you can explain any alternative approach. So let's say they ask for A, but you tell them, oh, I don't really know about linked list because I wasn't really done with that part of my curriculum just as of yet, but I have encountered this problem before. Or if even if you haven't, you can just say, oh, the way I would go about solving this problem with the information that I have right now is this. I use an array, use a data structure, whatever. So you go from there. You mold the question to work with what you have rather than just sitting blankly and then trying to conjure something up that you don't even know.
Um, what do you think is the most not so great part of the experience while you're job hunting?
The job hunting, it's not great. It's rejection every corner of the way, every step of the way. You apply for hundreds of jobs, you don't even hear back with an unfortunately email from most of them. And the ones that you do get a response from start with the email with that, unfortunately. And at some point you just start to internalize it like that's just it. I'm not never going to get a job, but you are going to get a job, and that's just it. You just have to be on it all the time. Just take out an hour every day, go through all the listings, curate your resume towards that job posting. Make sure that your resume is ATS friendly, not just towards your field, but towards that job application. Make sure you're hitting all the keywords in that job description, just so your resume stands out from at the top at the ATS screen. Yeah, so you just have to not give up, because I applied for the entire year and a half that I was in Canada while I was in school, but labor laws and all the other international student stuff aside, I didn't really get any other interviews from while I was there. But yeah, you just have to keep applying, and while applying you get to know that, oh, trends change over time. While when I was beginning my application journey, this was in the news. This was what was really getting people hired, but now it's this thing. So I need to learn this thing. Oh, I already know that thing. Better let the people know in my resume. So yeah, you just need to keep adapting, keep applying, and sooner or later you're gonna get a job.
So, since we're talking of interviews, do you have any funny story of an interview with a company?
Yeah. The first interview that I got from my previous employer, which was based in Newton, Massachusetts, I was about to reject the call because I thought it was a spam call, and I was just hanging out with my friends. I was gonna say, okay, I'm just gonna reject it, and then I thought, you know what? Maybe let's have some fun. Maybe because it just said spam, I read that as scam, so I thought this was a scam call. So I thought I was with my friends. Let's just have some fun. Let's mess around with them. But then it turns out that that was an actual recruiter. So, which was really good that I found that out really early, because I was not going to be professional with them. But in the end, yeah, they knew that, yeah, sometimes it does come across that way when they give the clients the call, interviewees. And yeah, in the end, I did get the job. About 3 interviews later, yeah, we were laughing about it.
No, that's a good story. I started with a scam. So yeah.
Yeah.
So there is an opinion over the internet that many talents think that uploaders post fake jobs. What do you think?
I don't know how they get to that point, because I've never seen any job that appear like too unrealistic or unrealistic at all, because all the requirements that they have in the job description seem to line up pretty much with what I expect them to have with the CDC that they provide, which is also in the description. So huge props to Upwork for that, having the CDC right there in the first half of the job description. And yeah, I don't think that's the case, as far as I can tell. all the jobs that I've applied to, fortunately enough, I have got a response from them.
So, give an advice to uploads to improve better. What can uploads do a little better that would help talents, or that can help you guys do a little better?
Uh, there's not a lot to say at this point because most of the stuff that I have in respect to the feedback that I would give to other companies would be just to have the job description be clear, the CDC also be clear, because most of them, they don't require the company to disclose what they're offering to have in their CDC department. But yeah, is already doing that. And then I'd say having the steps of the interview laid out in a better way would be my suggestion. Because in my case, all I knew was I was going to have a few interviews after the AI screening, but like what were they going to be about, what they were going to ask me, all of that. I just had to ask that like informally on a call with my talent representative. So if that information was clearly laid out, actionable on the website, that would be great. But other than that, it's not much.
But
I'm just
case by
nitpicking
case,
here.
I think it would be a little different, isn't it? For every job posting, that steps or the way it is, it would be a little different. So putting it out on the website will be a little tricky because website
I
has to be a
mean,
little standardized, isn't it?
I can understand that, but being a web developer myself, I just had an idea of how I would implement that. So
Uh-huh.
I was
You're open
thinking,
to that. You should definitely lay it out, Satak, to your talent, whoever is helping you out. You can definitely pass on, or you can drop us an email saying that this can be done a little different. And
yeah,
anyway,
because I do understand that not all the job description and all the companies are going to be having the same interview process. But the way I was envisioning it, we can have a system in place where we can account for all those variables and even have just a bare bones like number of interviews, this, what they're going to ask in that, this should be doable as far as I can tell right
you really have thought about it, is it?
now. Yeah.
Shows the way you are describing it. So that's about it. I think we are almost at the end of this section. So, do you have anything you would like to give as a tip to a person who is trying to, secure a global client, or is trying to work with a global client and earn in something which is not INR? So,
Right.
what do you think that person should do primarily, and what is the motivation to look forward in that?
The only tip that I can give to them is don't throw in the towel yet. You're gonna get it. You just gotta keep at it. You gotta have to learn. You have to get better. There is no alternative. There is no shortcut. Whatever you think the shortcut is, 1,000 other people, or 10,000 in our case, we have 1.5 billion people. They have already thought of that before. So there is no shortcut. You have to get to done with the work. You have to learn all the stuff. But the good thing is, when you do, you are gonna get the opportunity. You have to apply. You have to get through all the interviews, do interviews as a practice for companies in which you don't even want, if you want to feel like I don't have any practice. So do all of that, keep learning, keep applying, should get you there.
Wonderful. That's some really good advice to people who are trying to secure a job and trying to build their career around it. I feel starting early is also one of the things you should do. Like, you took the
Oh, very
initiative
much.
of doing it
Yeah.
fresh out of college. You had time, you started
not
applying.
even not even fresh out of college. You have to start learning stuff while you're in college, because everybody is learning stuff that you are learning in college. So you have to give yourself a distinguishing factor. If everybody is learning React, you go learn Rust. If everybody is learning JavaScript and web development, you go learn systems programming, infra programming, DevOps, all of that. All of that helps. Anything that can put you over the edge on all the other on all the other interviews, get it, do it,
Stand out.
stand out. That's all you can hope for. Because if you are exactly the same as 500 other applicants in that application pile, all you can do is just stand out. if you're going to get an eyeball to look at your resume, stand out, do something different.
That's some really good advice. Thank you so much for talking to me and being part of this Mr. Goose session. I'm sure the kind of things that you've shared, the tips that you've shared, it would help somebody who is actually trying to find their way and are
I
struggling
hope so.
the entire process, because as we all know, AI is new. The way of recruiting has changed, and it's very hard for people to wrap their heads around it, because traditional approaches do not really work well with the new kind of approach that is there, the new
Yeah.
processes that are there. So, like you said, the endless rejections can be very frustrating, because you feel like, okay, I have learned nothing in the span of whatever time I have spent in my.
Yeah, trust me, I've been there. I've been where a lot of these applicants are, feeling like, oh, do I actually even know anything? Am I employable? The imposter syndrome kicks in. You feel like, okay, I'm just trying to fool people that I know something here, when I don't. But that's not the case. And if you feel that way, then just upskill to where you don't feel that way. Just learn stuff constantly, and then sooner or later you have to get it, because that's the only thing you can do. You can't just give up, because then what are you going to do? You're going to work towards something else, and you're going to be in this place in a different field in a few years down the line. So just while you're here right now, don't let the despair creep in. Learn, apply. I know it feels like empty words right now, because when I was applying for jobs and not getting anything, and I saw somebody else's podcast or feedback or something like that that said those same things to me, I was pretty like, yeah, that's easy to say once you have it, but then there's nothing else you can do. You just have to get better. You have to keep applying.
But the
And
beauty
yep,
of now, the beauty of the digital space now, it has become the knowledge is very easily accessible. You do
100%.
not have to wait for a college degree or a college classroom to get some kind of information or a skill. You can learn
Yeah,
because it's readily available. There are courses, there are videos, there are tutorials. So you can actually start learning a skill. And if you need a formalized degree, you can go ahead and get a formal degree. But if you want to learn something new, to upskill, to know that how it works and what are the things you need to do for it to work, you have the knowledge flowing everywhere. So
yeah,
that way it's much more convenient and easy, I feel. Though it's becoming difficult, but knowledge is available. So if you want to learn, if you
yeah,
want to upskill, there are ways of doing it.
100%. That's exactly right.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Sarthak. We will conclude the session. It was lovely speaking to you. I hope
Likewise.
I hope this session helps people who are actually trying to find their way. And
Yeah.
have a good day. Thank you so much.
You too.